Around 13 years ago, my parents took the boys and I on a trip to Disneyland. Santos was around 5 and Phoenix was around 8. It was a surprise for the boys. So, this was the first time that they had been on a plane. They didn't know where we were going. They knew we were going to go visit Nana and Papa. And at the time, my mom and dad were in Palm Springs because every winter, being the brilliant people they are, they would go away to a nice warm place where there was lots of fun things to do, like golf and play pickleball and hang out with all the other people their age who were escaping the winter. So I told the boys that we were going to Palm Springs to visit Nana and Papa. We flew down there. They picked us up at the airport. And then we proceeded to have an amazing time at this. It was like a trailer park with the big Airstream trailers, so you could bring your own or rent. And they had rented somebody's trailer. And it was all, you had to be over 55 to be there, but kids could visit. And so all of the people in this park were, retired people with grandchildren who weren't there. And so everybody was all over the boys. They loved having the boys there. And every night there was like movies and ice cream and all the things. And there was a separate pool just for kids. So if kids were splashing in that, they weren't in the big adult pool. And so the boys had this pool all to themselves and all this attention. And it was warm and sunny, and they had so much fun because, of course, their grandparents were there and they loved to spoil them with attention and do all the fun things. And that was their vacation, and they were super excited. And I remember being like, okay, I love giving people surprises and surprising people. Although I hate surprises, I love giving people surprises. And I had planned the Disneyland thing for it to be a surprise. So it's like, okay, boys, here's where we're going. So I got them all packed up and they're ready to go. And I was videotaping them so I could get their reaction. And then I told them, I said, guys, we're not going home. Guess what? We are going to Disneyland. And I was so excited and I'm jumping up and down. And I think Phoenix started crying. They looked at each other. They were so upset. They thought it was the end of the world because they didn't want to leave Nana and Papa. They thought that was the best vacation they could ever possibly have. But really in their minds, when I think back of it, I'm like, first of all, in the moment, I was like, what's wrong with these kids? Like, they're not excited to go to Disneyland. But what I realized, like, they had no idea what Disneyland was really all about. All they knew was the best moment in time was hanging out with Nana and Papa and swimming and all that kind of stuff. So they were like so bummed that they had to leave. But Nana and Papa were coming with us as well. So it's just such a good memory because, of course, when we got to Disneyland, they were in heaven. They had no clue what they were in for, just how magical and amazing Disneyland is. So that's why it was like so funny when the reaction on the film is like, you're going to Disneyland, and they're mad and they're crying. They're like, we don't want to go. But the trip was amazing. It was amazing because we were together. It was amazing because we had all of these fun times and experiences, and we went on the rides and we laughed and we were scared together. We still actually talk about, even just the other day, we were talking about going on the one ride where it's like Goofy's Wild Ride, and it seems like it's like a small little thing, so it seemed easy, but it was like really jerky. Like you go to the end of a corner and it looks like you're going to go off, and then you stop and you turn really quickly. And we had talked Phoenix into going on this ride because we thought it was super easy. And he ended up being scared on the ride and crying. And I'm like, I was even scared. And my mom, Nana, was with, and we were all scared. We're like, what the hell kind of ride is this? This is not a cool, fun kids ride. This is actually a scary ride. So it was so fun. Like, we have memories like that. But out of that whole entire trip, and them going on the Pirates of the Caribbean 5 times and Thunder roller coaster or whatever 4 times, like just them having the favorite, the food, the light show, all of it. I feel like the best part out of that whole experience was me holding Santos's hand the whole entire time. And the reason I held his hand is because he was only 5 and it's Disneyland. There were a ton of people around and I didn't want him to get lost. So the rule was you always have to be holding my hand or someone's hand. And so for the whole, I don't know, 2 or 3 days, we walked around holding hands. And that was my absolute favorite part of us being together. The memory is just like always getting to hold hands. And the reason I held his hand was so he didn't get lost, but also to feel connected. Also, just to share my energy with, I'm here for you. So he feels safe. And because when you're little and there's a whole bunch of people and big people walking around, it can be scary. And also to tell him that I love him without even saying a word. To be like, I got you. You can count on me. I'm here for you. That's what holding hands represented to me. Just that deep, deep, deep connection. And the reason I'm telling you this story is because last year I started holding my mom's hand. Every time we would walk together, I would just grab her hand because I noticed that her balance was starting to get off. So it's not as good as it used to be. And for all the same reasons that I held Santos's hand, I just would hold my mom's hand. I remember we were walking back from one of Santos's soccer games because my mom and dad always come and watch Santos's soccer games. And we were just walking and I just grabbed her hand because she's walking slower and it's just, a little harder for her to balance than it was just as she's getting older. And it just made me feel so good too, to hold her hand. I love my parents. I would do anything for them. And I've recently noticed that they're getting older and like it can just almost happen overnight. I noticed it before when I lived away. So when I was younger, I would always be living in some other province or traveling to some other country. And there was a certain time when I would come back and I'm like, oh, they look older. Like I can see that they've aged since I've been gone. And it would make my heart sad. But because I've been living here for the whole time I've been raising my kids, you don't see it as much because I see them all the time. But I've just recently noticed that they seem to have aged a little bit. For example, my dad was having hip problems and he was kind of leaning to the side. Super active guy, golfing, pickleball, all that. So he ended up getting a hip replacement because he was struggling with the pain. And he hasn't quite recovered the way he'd like to. He still can't play pickleball. He's golfing a little bit, but it's slowing him down. And my parents are very active. They garden, they walk, they do all the stuff. So I feel extremely blessed to have parents that are active and taking care of themselves so that not only is it easier for me as their child, but also so that they can enjoy their life to the fullest. Because I do have, friends who have parents that are in care homes and they can't get out of bed. They're just there. They're just putting in the time. I don't even know what that kind of existence would be like. So I feel extremely blessed to have parents that are independent. They can stay in their house. They have this huge garden. And those are the things that keep them young and active and healthy. And my mom all of a sudden started shrinking. Like gravity is doing its thing. And as she shrinks, her insides are getting compressed. So it's starting to get uncomfortable for her. And that has started to make it a little bit harder for her to balance. So that's the biggest thing is we want to make sure that she can always be independent, drive her car, go wherever she wants. And we do not want her to fall down. Of course, I've given her core exercises and all that fun stuff. I love giving my parents, health tips and that kind of thing. And my mom is the best. She'll do all the things. So she's working on her core. But I just noticed that even when I hold her hand, I can feel her, her hand moving to balance her. And this is how I feel super lucky And this is why I want to stay super healthy. As I'm in midlife, I notice my body changing, but I want to stay super healthy because I want to be independent until the day I die. I just want to be doing my thing. And then one day, for whatever reason, my body's like, I've had enough and I check out. But until that day comes, I'm going to be gardening. I'm going to be doing whatever it is that I'm doing, taking care of myself and being independent. And then in turn, my kids don't need to take care of me. So it's just a win-win-win for everybody. And I do love holding my mom's hand every time we go somewhere. And I do it for all the reasons, the same reasons why I loved holding Santos's hand in Disneyland, for all the same reasons. So that she doesn't feel lost, so that we feel connected, just to share my energy with her, so that she feels safe, and so that she knows that I love her without even saying a word. Like just the power of holding hands, human touch, connection. We are creatures of connection. That's why the world is upside down right now, is because we need more community connection. We need to get together and interact with each other. And this is why it's so important for me to be connected and to support my mom in this way. And it got me thinking, like, this is full circle. This is payback for all the times that my mom held my hand for all the same reasons that I held Santos's or Phoenix's hands, and why I hold her hand today. Like, when I think about that, I get goosebumps. It fills my heart. Full circle, just this one little powerful thing that I'm doing, coming full circle, and the same reasons why I'm doing it for everybody that I'm doing it for. Oh my gosh. So, so powerful. Now, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I woke up with a horrible case of vertigo, which means out of nowhere, I wake up one morning and I'm super dizzy. And when it first happens, this is the second time I've had it. When it first happens, like the first day that it happens, it's so intense that I can't stand up and walk without holding onto the wall, because I will fall over because the whole room is spinning. So, of course, because I had a tennis tournament coming up in a week, like, gosh, I had to play in that tennis tournament. I had to hit up all my health professionals. So I went to my traditional Chinese medicine doctor for acupuncture. But of course I couldn't drive because I can't even walk. So everything is spinning. So Santos volunteered to drive me. And on the way to the car, we leave the house. And as we're about to go down the stairs, he grabs my hand to hold my hand. I know. I'm not crying, you're crying. Oh my gosh. Like, even just telling you this, my heart is full. Like, just the fact that he did that without saying anything, just grabbing, it was just like, oh my gosh, my heart exploded. I don't even think he had any idea of the impact, or maybe he did. Maybe he did. He's a very conscious person. I just felt like, even just telling you about it now, fills my heart with so much love. Just him reaching out and holding my hand. So powerful, so delicious. And so it's come full circle again. That's just how powerful it is. So I feel blessed because my parents took really great care of their health and are still very independent. And my kids are figuring it out. They're at the age where, they can take care of themselves. They can figure stuff out. If they don't, they'll come and ask me for help. But I want to let them do it because that's how they experience stuff. Like Santos went to live on his own, and I'm like, hey, I could take you for groceries. And he's like, thanks, I really appreciate that, Mom, but that's part of the experience. And I'm like, you're right. I want to take him to get groceries because it makes me feel good because I'm helping him. But the best way I can help him is to let him figure it out on his own. And I know, even though it's hard to let go, it's very hard, that if he does need help, he'll come and ask for it. And other than that, the best way I can help him is to let him experience it on his own, right? That's all part of the midlife process. And this is where you need to go back and review the basics. Self-care is number one. Always love yourself first. That's always the number one thing. Take care of yourself first. Because remember, if you're on an airplane and it's having troubles going down, it's going to crash. It doesn't say, hey, take care of everybody around you. Take care of your child around. No, take care of yourself first, and then you can take care of other people. Only when you take care of yourself first. So that's why we want to go and review the basics. So here we are in this midlife, and it still stands. We need to take care of ourselves. So maybe when we were raising our kids, we forgot that rule, the golden rule, but now I'm implementing it. I'm calling it back. I'm like, this is the number one rule. And then you can take care of the people around you. This is the sandwich generation. Welcome to the sandwich generation. You are the middle of the sandwich. And remember, this is going to be a different experience for everybody, depending on what your parents are like, their age, their condition, and your kids, what your kids are like and their age and their condition, like how dependent or independent are they? So this is going to be different for everybody, but this is called the sandwich generation. And this is a midlife thing. And not a lot of people talk about it. And just when you think, oh, I've done raising my kids, now it's like you got it from both sides. And it can be very, very overwhelming and hard because you feel like everything is on you. That's where you got to remember the golden rule. Self-care. Always love yourself first. You are the middle of the sandwich. For the sandwich generation, you're the middle of the sandwich. And just like a sandwich, a real sandwich, you can put anything in the middle that you want. Anything. Without you, you just got two pieces of bread. So you are the star of the sandwich. You could be whatever middle you want. You can create whatever kind of sandwich you want because you are what makes up the sandwich. You could be a bologna and mustard sandwich, or you could be a turkey clubhouse, like a triple decker filled up with all the fillings. You know, you got the pickle, you got the bacon and definitely lettuce and tomato, all the stuff. The one that's like so big that you cut up the roof of your mouth with every single bite and it's worth it. Like, you know, you're cutting up your mouth when you eat this and you're not stopping. You're eating the whole thing, like the clubhouse. Oh, that's like the sandwich of all sandwiches. But you get to decide what kind of sandwich do you want to create. And just know this. Okay, whatever kind of sandwich you decide to make, it should always start with your self-care being the top priority. So when you make a sandwich, it's like some people are always like, I always put butter on my sandwich. That's just like, it's not a sandwich without butter. Or mayonnaise. That's the mayonnaise of the sandwich, is self-care. No matter what kind of sandwich you're making, that's going on it. Self-care is the top priority when making your sandwich. Because if you're in the sandwich, you know what I'm talking about. You know it's hard to take care of everybody with health issues and everybody trying to be independent. And so you know what I'm talking about if you're experiencing the sandwich right now. And if you aren't there yet, my friend, your order's up and it's headed your way. So prepare ahead of time so when your order does arrive, you know exactly what kind of sandwich you ordered. Don't struggle with your sandwich alone. It's always better to eat with friends because then it's a picnic. Thank you for listening. Always, always, always love yourself first. Create the sandwich that you want and have an amazing day.